Tell me a story.
Story time.
Story time with
It's story time with Miq. Story time with Miq.
Story time with Miq.
Story time with Miq. Story time with Miq. Story time with Miq.
Story time with Miq.
I was working on this film called Crash Dive.
Crash Dive.
Crash Dive, yeah. You know,
Okay.
I'm sure you've seen it,
I
right?
think I missed that one, actually.
Yeah,
honestly.
I'm sure you did. So did everybody else. Anyway, I was working on this film called Crash Dive, and I wound up prepping the film with a director who got fired and then who was taken over by a producer who I then argued with every day for every shot about everything. Yes, because he hadn't set everything up. He was and he was the producer, and you never tell the same lies to a producer as you do to the director.
Right.
So one day we were on the set, and let me go back. I had actually managed to break a couple ribs by falling off of my set, which was a 2-story interior of a submarine, of a nuclear submarine.
Did you get a Twit Award for that, for falling off your own set?
Oh. Well, the guys that were holding the cards up did do a 9.5, so it was a good one.
Right.
Anyway, I broke a couple of ribs, and things kept going wrong on the film. And so 2 days later, I took my jar of painkillers and started down the road, heading back to the set. And I hurt so bad, and I kept taking these painkillers, and I actually at one point in this day, I saw a sign on the side of the road that said Crash Dive, and I just parked my car. And of course, I was like 5 signs away from the show,
Right.
but it had an arrow at it. But I thought, well, that was to park my car. So I parked my car on the side of Jefferson in downtown LA, which is probably not the wisest thing to do, being as it was no parking, and it was basically the edge of a freeway.
Very nice.
And I walked and I followed the signs, and I just was like walking along, and I show up and I fix a couple of things and and I'm completely wiped out, and I sit down in the California sun between 2 trucks, and I just put my face in my hand and just sat there in a drugged haze for between 2 trucks in midday in the California sun in the middle of the summer. and I never moved. And so 4 hours later, somebody came to get me, and then they were looking at my face and they're going, "Wow, you really got too much sun." And when I went to the bathroom, I noticed that there was an imprint of my hand. I was sunburned around. You could see my hand wrapped around my face.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then, so I kept taking these drugs because, man, I was in an incredible amount of pain, and now the arguments on set began to get really, really weird. And I began to just wait for him to reply, or yelling at me. And then when he would stop, then I would yell at him for a while. and it got really repetitious. And then this one day.
So you were arguing with him with a hand on your face, like?
No. This is the next day.
The next day, okay.
The same drugs though. Don't get me wrong. So. The next day, I'm arguing with him on set about the usual stuff, and I got into the point to where I wasn't even really paying attention, and I would just wait until he was done yelling, and then I would yell back at him for a little bit, and I didn't even know what I was saying anymore. I was so freaking high, but at one point, while he was yelling at me, unbeknownst to me, I had started to hum, and I
think that's it.
And he goes, and all of a sudden he just stops yelling at me. He goes, "Are you humming at me? Are you humming at me while I'm yelling at you? I can't believe you're humming at me." And
that breaks the rules of arguments.
It did, and I swear nobody was more surprised than I was. I sat there and I said, "Oh my God, I think I was." And I actually made it to the end of that film. I was still employed by the end of it, and I have no idea why. Because literally it was the biggest blur just from the time I fell, I just was like all the way through.
So is this one of those films that people watch and they say, "Oh, they must have been on drugs when they made this"?
Oh my God, there was nobody that actually watched it. Are you kidding?
Right.
Look it up. Crash Dive.
I'm gonna have to look it up. Yeah,
Yeah.
I missed that one. Was it 80? What year was it? Like the title alone sounds like
Mid-90s maybe.
Okay.
I have no idea. Anyway,
Huh.
hey, there we go.
There
We're
we
all
go.
done.
Yes,
Yeah, we got there.
that was awesome.
We got to the end of this sucker.
I think that's it.